What are we going to be seeing here in the coming weeks is what I'm wondering, in terms of testimony against Chad Daybell, or maybe even more video or audio that we haven't seen in the past.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of an exciting prospect because I think a lot of people coming into this trial thought it was going to be same old, same old. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And like they're trying to prove different things. With Lori, it was as far as the homicides, it was a straight conspiracy case. Whereas with Chad, they have a conspiracy, but they also are coming at him for the murders,
Hmm.
straight first degree murder. So which is what has pushed this to be a death penalty case. So yeah, I anticipate there's going to be more. I mean, if they were of the mindset that they were going to have a hard time proving the first degree murder, they easily could have gone with the conspiracy,
Hmm.
and kind of stuck with that. But by way of them ultimately, because I think it's easier to prove, especially in light of they know the success they had with Lori's case, and they just have stronger evidence against Chad
Hmm.
with respect to the conspiracy than I thought that they had with Lori. Like all through Lori's trial, I'm like, well, how are they going to tie her in? I mean, she had alibis. It's like they have to be able to show the knowledge, and the agreement in order to get to the conspiracy, even though in that case, I knew, that like any picture of her like frolicking around in Hawaii while her kids are nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be found, was not going to sit well with the jury, and she was going to get convicted no matter what the state put on. It's like we can't like mama bears don't get the pass.
Hmm.
If you betray your kids like that, you're going down. So, yeah, I anticipate we will see some other little gems that we don't even know exist
Yeah.
because we're not privy to the evidence. So I anticipate there will be more for certain.
It seems they're
Because they wouldn't have
really,
brought up stuff for Chad,
yeah.
in
Yeah.
Lori's trial that didn't help prosecute Lori. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very fascinating to see what exactly does come about here. How do you think the death penalty? I'm just going to assume he's going to be convicted because I think that's
Yeah.
what's going to happen. But how do you think the death penalty will play for a jury pool in a town that you said is like what 96 or some percent LDS, in terms of giving him the death penalty, or do you think that's going to play a role in their decision of we can or can't take this man's life, even after they've painted this brutal picture of him, conspiring and going along with this horrible narrative of murdering these children and his wife and God knows, who else has been killed along the way.
I think that the court and the lawyers tried to handle that on the front end during voir dire as much as they could.
Hmm.
Like if I don't know if you caught any of it, but they spent a huge amount of time on that exact issue when they were picking the jury. Remember, this jury took a long time to pick.
Hmm.
It was like 8 9 days, and really the primary focus before kind of a juror would make it past like the first like round
Hmm.
of questioning. It was that exact question, like are you philosophically going to be opposed if you're shown by beyond a reasonable doubt that this man committed these crimes? Are you going to be able to follow the law, and will you have an issue one way or another with sentencing him to death, or approving that the death sentence be on the table? So I mean, theoretically, uh the people that are impaneled and sitting on that jury, I think probably all passed that litmus test and
Hmm.
said, I can follow the law.
Hmm.
I may have some misgivings about it, but I'll follow the law. And, so I think ultimately, if it turns out that, somebody gets discovered on the socials to be a devout anti-death penalty person and they were not truthful during voir dire, that it'll be a problem. But um, in death penalty cases, they do address that pretty heavily
Yeah.
when they're selecting the jury. So just have to have faith that the jurors were honest about that and that they're going to be capable of doing what the law requires.
Well, the law doesn't necessarily require them to sentence him to death, though. Correct? I mean, they
Correct.
could give him life, so it's not like you have to
Correct.
give him death. Um,
Right.
so, is it a disqualifying factor if someone says, "Yeah, I don't think I could sentence someone to death. I could find him guilty, but I couldn't sentence him to death." Do they need to make sure that who is ever on that jury is open to that possibility and open to saying yes if the evidence points in their mind to being that dire?
Yeah, it does because ultimately the death penalty phase is like a whole nother trial,
Hmm.
and they'll put on aggravating evidence and they'll put on mitigating evidence in terms of the defense, and that's where you'll see Pryor making the arguments like, look, Lori was running this thing. Chad was just, like he had no ability to be able to distance himself from her feminine wiles, and she was running the whole game,
Hmm.
and whether or not that resonates with the jury is a question that can only be answered by the jury. But yeah, I think that would have been enough to get a juror excused by cause. Like, they
Hmm.
have to at least be open to the idea,
Hmm.
even if it's not like a slam dunk, if he's convicted, that he get the death penalty, because again, that is a separate process. So I think that as far as the state was concerned, if they had a juror that says, nah, I could never do it, that the juror would probably be excused for cause, I imagine.
Be interesting to see what happens and what else drops this week in the saga of Daybell.
It's a crazy one.
Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.